Welcome, my friends. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Darrell Mesa. He's been our student coming along this journey. And finally, boom, he hit that ridiculous thing in the jaw. He's now a PMP. You can see the background behind me has dramatically changed to signify accomplishment, enjoyment. It's the end of the struggle, this struggle at least. So Darrell, welcome, welcome. I'm really excited to have you on today. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. First off, thank you for having me and actually present what it took me to get here to talking to you and your students in regards to getting PMP certified.
Thank you, Darrell. I'm really, really excited. I'll try to curb my excitement so that we can focus on what you have to say. So just tell me when you want me to advance. You can say advance to slide, Phil, and I will do that as you wish. So
Okay.
Should I move to slide 2?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Here we go. Take it away.
And Phil's right. It was a long journey for me before I started these slides. It was a long journey for me, and Phil was there throughout the way. This particular journey for me was different than any other journey that all your PMP students experience. So I'm touching into more of my personal side, but I want to, let everybody know exactly that this PMP is a challenge, and you need to keep pushing through. So the agenda, it's about 4 or 5 slides. I'm giving you the reasons, my journey, my impediments, and of course, exam day. So please may you advance. So reasons why I pursue my PMP is because of professional personal development like everybody else. Career enhancement. My company where I work, they're always looking for growth. So if you show growth, they want to invest in you so much. So and my goal was also to become a PMP. I've been doing overseas work as a DoD contractor for 4 years in 4 years. So when I got back to the States 2 years ago, I wanted to pursue these things as leading something because I was prior Marine Corps. So that leadership trait always took effect wherever I worked at. So when I came home and I started working for the Navy as a contractor, I wanted to get into the programmatic stuff of trying to lead projects and also encourage and influence people at the same time. Next slide, please, Phil.
All right, Darrell, and I'll just say thanks for your service. And when I heard that, because I've got buddies in the Marine Corps, and when I heard that, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is nothing. This is nothing compared to where you've been. Let's roll. Let's disseminate the enemy.
Yes, but it was a huge challenge taking on this exam, and of course that off the record, and it was a long journey for me. So a year ago, I found you on YouTube by accident. I just you search PMP exam, and you were the first one that popped up, to be honest with you. And I was like, wow, who's this guy? So I started looking into, started watching. I was like, wow, this guy can relate and understand the audience beyond the camera. So I started, just watching you, and I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I know I reached out to you in the past, and we touched base, and we got on that journey. And then from there, I started developing study habits. So on my first attempt, as I was going through your courses and your advice, I went ahead and I scheduled my first attempt. And that first attempt was not good. I did everything you said not to do when the PMP stamp out exam failure. So everything you told everybody not to do, I did it. And I know you were there to advise me, but I know you didn't want to overstep and telling me what to do, but you kept on pushing. Watch the video, but I did everything you told me not to do. So I failed that first attempt. So after that first attempt, I started to reevaluate myself, and I was wondering what's going on with me. Why am I so my brain was so out of it. It wasn't organized. I was anxious. I had the symptoms of PTSD, and that's going to be on my next slide. And this is going to come into my personal life. So after I started understanding that, I went to see the VA, and that's when I got diagnosed with PTSD. And this diagnosis happened 11 years after I got out of the Marine Corps. So throughout those 11 years, I was experiencing those, but I was in denial. So when I got evaluated and everything else that come into play, everything else, I got on medication and stuff like that. I had to disconnect from the world. I mean, personal life, my family's work, and I was also pursuing my MBA. So I decided to get on the meds. Everything calmed me down. My brain started to reorganize and my temper started calming down. I was like, let me take the second attempt. I followed the PMP exam stamp out, with the exception of my work being in the way. I had more work demands than at that time. And I failed at that second attempt. So I went back to the VA and said, hey, I'm still feeling the same way on these meds that you gave me. So my doctor was like, let's try this route. So we switched my meds, and I was okay, let's try it. So now I was more focused. I was more trying to accomplish things that I always wanted to accomplish. So if you can move on to the next slide, Phil. So here's what I want to talk about. This touches more into my personal life because it impacted my ability to pass the exam. Of course, I was fighting PTSD for this whole entire time, which I didn't know until I actually got seen at the VA, and they're like, "Hey, you got PTSD? You didn't know that?" I was like, "No." So I had to fight that at the same time, along with other commitments like my family, my work, trying to get my second degree, which is my MBA, and that took a huge toll in investing so much into this PMP exam. I invested so much, total of $2,500 because of the study materials, of investing in Praizion, which I so appreciate. Just retaking the exam on 2 attempts, and that's a pretty huge amount of money. And then my own PMI membership. So throughout this a year and 2 months, I kept investing in Praizion and rescheduling and it was becoming a bill, a debt to my side, because every time I would schedule something for my PMP, I always reschedule, and then I always tell Phil I reschedule. So it was always a huge thing on my part, and before I started, I told you it was this personal life of what my impediments were impacted my ability to pass the PMP. So in January, Phil reached out to me and says, "Hey, what's going on? You've been out of touch." I go, "Yes." So I told him, and I said, "Hey, I'm getting better. I'm starting to feel myself now, and I'm gonna really push on and really schedule this exam, and I'm gonna keep on doing it. And I have one more attempt, and I want to pass." So Phil, as he's very supportive, he said, "Let's do it." He told me to keep on pushing with the mock exams and the 2020. And I kept on every single time I got that instant YouTube text on my phone, I would immediately click on YouTube on his videos, no matter what time it was. I would just watch it and watch it, and my study habits it really improved understanding my challenges with PTSD. So what I did was, throughout my study habits, every morning I would get up, I would study page 25, and I would just memorize page 25. At the same time, I had my drive from work to home was like an hour. So I would listen to Phil for about 20-30 minutes. And then that rest of the 30 minutes, I pre-recorded my voice with page 25. So I would pre-record the knowledge areas, I would pre-record the 49 processes, and I would listen to myself to make sure I am actually understanding and remembering the processes. And then I started to just work I just kept on watching Phil's videos, and I started to memorize everything. So on my exam day, what was the next slide, Phil? So on the exam day, I had 2 hours prior. I took PTO, so I had 2 hours prior before the exam, and I was already wide awake. So I drove to the exam site at Pearson View, and I went to the nearest Starbucks. This is not encouraged, so please don't do this. And Phil's gonna highly recommend not to do this. I pretty much, for those 2 hours, I cut everything. Everything, all the noise, and I put on my headphones. I put on Phil's voice, and I just went through the PMBOK guide. I didn't look at any other social media, and I just heard Phil's voice. I used the audio clips that he sent me. I just kept on playing it for those 2 hours. And I opened up I printed out the exam content outline, and I filled in every single task that I know. And I was surprised because I filled it out to where I was filling it to the details. Like, okay, task 1, this is going to call out identify stakeholders, but it's going to call out this. But then this is at TTO that's going to call out this. So I was already writing out so much on the exam content outline, and I realized, like, wow, I'm actually ready. So with those 2 hours, I was pretty much cramming, but at the same time, I had to feel confident. So that's why I did it. So I know you won't. I know it's not encouraged to do that, but I just felt that I had to do it, because if I didn't do it, I guess I wouldn't have passed.
Yeah, you got to do what you know you got to do. If you feel it deep down. So you went to the Starbucks. How many minutes away was that from the?
It was actually like 5 minutes away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was 5 minutes away from the test site.
Wow.
So I went to the test site first. I scoped it out. I went back to the Starbucks I passed. I parked, got out, took my laptop, and I went to work. So,
wow, I love it. You gotta be agile, and that's being agile, because that throws out convention and tailors it to what works for you, that you know what.
But it was totally out of the ordinary, because the previous 2 attempts, first attempt I didn't sleep. I did not sleep at all, Phil. I took the 4-hour mock exam that night.
Wow.
That night prior,
Oh,
and he told me not to do it. So but I did it. On the second attempt, I had good sleep, but I drove to the test site, to take the exam. So I didn't do my ordinary routine. So those 2 hours, I was like, you know what? Let's open up the PMBOK guide. No music. Put on Phil's voice. Put on the audio, and just run through it. And I actually did it.
wow.
And on my 4-hour exam, I wasn't as nervous as before. I was pretty confident. I was really confident, actually. And then the results was I got 2 above targets.
Wow.
There.
Wow. Fantastic.
So
wow.
Yeah, so I'm really, really happy. And like I said in the email, thank you for everything that you've done. And, you didn't see me as a dollar sign. You weren't encouraging, hey, pay this, pay that. You were encouraging. You didn't do anything like that as a businessman. You didn't. You like I said, I stuck with you because you can relate and go down to that level and be like, hey, man, you can pass this.
Absolutely, Darrell. Absolutely. And I'm telling you, I'm so elated. I'm actually still in celebration, Part of your success is motivated me to go do what I've been planning to do. And I'll share that with you outside of this. But I'm like,
Okay.
I need to celebrate big for Darrell. And I am going, actually, when we finish this call, I'm going to go celebrate. And I'll let you know what that is. I'm going to celebrate big on your
Okay.
behalf. Yeah, some Benjamins are going to be blown, but I'm going to celebrate big on your behalf because
Thank you, Phil. Thank you.
I'm telling you. So I told you, one of my buddies, one of my close friends, Colonel Crail, Marine Colonel, and he's a close friend of mine, and he has journeyed with me in training so many entities, the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Army Corps, the FBI, NASA. He helped me with all of these people. And I'm like, I need to celebrate because this just accentuates that it is possible. Because look at your journey. I don't know if you actually contacted the PMI to say, look, as someone who has suffered from PTSD, I deserve more time. You actually deserve more
No,
time.
I wanted to do it myself.
Wow.
Because fighting this PTSD is, Phil, I have crazy dreams and it's I wanted to see if I can overcome that. And I'm slowly fighting it at the same time.
Wow. Just wow. I doff my hat, Darrell, because many folks, they get 8 hours, double time. And honestly, you're a true fighter. You're a true warrior. I've got a few questions that I would like to ask, just a few questions. So, I mean, we know that it was a career goal, but to you, this was a personal thing that you wanted to take on, right? And battle and defeat. And you've done that, right? That is truly awesome. That is truly awesome. Now, I know that there were many valleys and peaks, but let's talk about the final run-up after I called you. Roughly how many hours would you say you were putting into to prepare for the exam, like in the run-up 1 or 2 months? How many hours can you estimate?
So every night I took 4 hours a night.
Wow.
Because it was hard for me to attain the information.
Wow.
I had to switch my medication to fully like digest it. And Phil, I was watching your videos. I even met the PMP exam essentials from what you developed. I read the PMBOK guide, but the next day it's like I wouldn't even memorize. I wouldn't even understand it. I was like, what's that? What's initiating? I just took 4 hours the night prior trying to, just to read through it.
Wow.
So it was, that whole year was really hard.
Wow.
Because I would be so frustrated in myself because I wouldn't even memorize. I don't know why. So the VA said, hey, your brain is so unorganized and you have all these symptoms and you need to control it. So they're of course helping me out with that. But that's when I realized, wow, maybe that's the reason why I've been acting this way or behaving this way, or, everything that they told me. Oh, wow. Okay. That actually makes sense of why I did that. Because this whole 11 years I was out of service, I was like, no, I'm okay. And I don't have a broken leg or, a blown off leg or, arm. I was like, I'm okay. And the doctor was like, that's because you have PTSD. Because you're always going to be in denial until you actually accept it. Because
Darrell,
Phil, I've invested so much in this exam.
Absolutely. And, to be honest, at Praizion, we're like, how can we help Darrell? What do we need to do? How can we help move him forward? And I took it personal. I took it personally. And I don't know if you recall, I was out in Houston once and we had a meeting, it was late. There's so many little flashbacks I'm having myself. And this is really the pinnacle. And I'm really glad you're sharing this, because for everyone listening, it's okay for you to admit this is an issue. What am I going to do? Because then I know what to do as your trainer, as your coach. This is not just about a course. I look at myself as your coach, as your mentor, as your cheerleader. And I want to help you move along to success. I feel really upset when anyone that I've been working with does not succeed. I mean, I take it very personal. I have bouts, of depression, to be honest, for my students, because I feel so much weight for them. So when you told me you'd achieve this, honestly, like once we're done here, I'm going to go paint the town. I'm going to go paint the town. So let me stop being selfish, Darrell. Let me ask our friends if they have any questions. Otherwise, I will just ask questions all day. Does anyone have any questions for Darrell about any aspect of the exam or anything about strategy? Any questions at all? Any questions about how Darrell was able to master these knowledge areas, all 10 of them? Which of these knowledge areas would you say was the most challenging, Darrell, to you?
It was the cost. The cost management was a challenge.
Did you experience a lot of cost? Like as you're taking the test, did you get like an insurmountable amount of formulas? Because a lot of people are delayed.
No, I only had one question for cost, which was really, really good, but 11 questions of Agile.
Wow.
11.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh. That was Margaret's question. She said, do you have Agile questions? So 11.
Yes.
That is good feedback.
They were 11 questions, and most of it was Scrum.
Oh my gosh.
What should a project manager do with applying both waterfall and Agile?
That is good perspective. Rochelle says, thank you for your service. I can relate to the test anxiety. Do you have any advice on quelling test anxiety?
On the exam day, I did not drink any coffee. I stayed away from coffee. I drank water because if I know if I drank coffee, it would increase my nervousness. I'll get more and more nervous.
Okay, that's a very good tip. I haven't heard that one before. That's very good. Any further questions, my friends? Did you take the recent PMI mock exam?
No, I did not.
Okay. Do you recall how many times you took our mock exam, Darrell? Because I know you worked like no man's business on it.
A total of 8 times.
Whoa, that has got to be an all-time tenacity score. You were
and also the 2020, it took them a total of 40 times.
Oh my Lord, goodness gracious. You are something else, man. You didn't give up. Whoa.
So for I was actually capturing it that every single score that came out, I wanted to improve. Like I want to scope. I scored 85. I was like, okay, next 2 days from now, I'm gonna score 90. Whoa. So I will go back to it without even studying scope, and I would just run through my notes. 2 days later, I will go back to scope, and then try to see if I improved.
Wow! Oh my goodness! So, that you really fall for this thing. You fall for this thing. And you deserve every bit of it. And to be honest, it's the beginning. And wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do, I will come along for the ride with you and help. And if I need to convince anyone to get you on board for whatever you want to work on in project management, you can count on me. I will give you a reference, a glowing reference, just a commendation, because I haven't seen a lot of people go this far. 8 times, ridiculous. 40 times on. Oh my!
I was really pushing it, and everywhere I went, I put on your audio. Everywhere. Like I was out of mind. Like at the restaurants, I would open up, the PMBOK on my phone.
Whoa.
I'll just look at, read some one sentence at a time. I was all about it, Phil. I was trying, because 2 attempts was too much for me. I was like, I'm not going to fail my third time. I have to pass. And because my company was already, I was already involved with all the PM stuff. I'm already involved with hiring people, RFPs. I'm already involved in that because they know that I want to do it.
Wow. How did they feel when you told them?
They were pretty excited, so they want to meet with me this week, to talk more so about, what's the next step.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
Hmm.
Lovely. Wow. Wow. You got another one here from Brittany. I'm having trouble memorizing all of the ITTOs beyond the key outputs. Did you memorize every single one of the ITTOs or focus on the key ITTOs? What did you do, Darrell?
I memorized about 90% of it. I used your mnemonics.
Mm,
So I know you did at a high level mnemonics for the 49 processes. So I went to the point where I was on each process, I mnemonically used it to my advantage. So for develop project charter, I went and did my mnemonic myself for the ITTOs.
wow. Wow. You really
So
went
that's how
hard.
I memorized it. Yes.
Wow. 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 Now, on the exam, let's just put it in perspective. So, knowing the tools and techniques versus knowing the inputs versus knowing the outputs, how would you rank in importance, from your experience? And I know everyone
Hmm.
has different perceptions, like one of my team members said, oh, it's this part that is my
Hmm.
biggest, which one would you say in terms of bang for your buck, would you say you would gravitate towards first?
The tools and techniques, because the majority of the questions that I had 2 days ago were pointing out in the question, were pointing out the process, but the answers were the tools and techniques, but they were worded differently.
Absolutely. I've heard something similar from a team member of mine,
Hmm.
that the tools and techniques are the beastliest. And it's taking the exam that brought that to the surface, for
Hmm.
her. And totally agree. Because even from my own study, I find the tools and techniques are bigger the bigger hurdle. So, Brittany, my suggestion to you is to maybe spend more time on page 686 to page 694 as well. And Darrell, I've said that so many times on,
Yes, yes, that
haven't
one works too.
I? Yes.
Those pages they're intimidating, and I know Shri mentioned that in the past, but you have to keep on doing it. It sucks, but you have to. Because I know in one of our previous classes, Shri mentioned, I can't memorize this.
Yes.
But yeah, you have to keep reading. You have to try and understand that, okay, 7.1, okay, what's 7.1? You got to go back to the PMBOK guide and figure out what it is.
Hmm. I'm glad you're covering this in all truthfulness, because for some of us, this is just, we have to go our own path. We all have different, things that would like, listen to what Darrell said about, getting to the Starbucks, and those 2 hours, that is, blowing up any form of doubt, and at the same time, putting him into a power mindset. I mean, you got to do what you know works for you. I have, in instances, defied my own advice. Like I was training a course and I studied till 1 for my RMP exam. I had to, because I hadn't studied at all. So sometime you need to say, okay, Phil, I take this piece, I'm going to have to be agile with it. So whatever you need to do, do. But do look at page 686 to page 694. I think that
Mhm.
will really help you. Rochelle says, did you find studying that intensively increased your anxiety? So as you were studying, were you becoming more anxious? Were there any types of studying that would make you more anxious than other types of studying?
I had to put in more work, because if I didn't put in more work, I'll get more anxious. I was the exact opposite. I had to keep,
Mm,
because it was my challenge. It was my hurdle. So I took it personally. Like, okay, if I don't put in this amount of work, I'm gonna fail.
hmm,
So
hmm.
I had to think of it that way. So every single time I have a loft upstairs as my little office. I have a whiteboard and I put sticky notes. It's like I know you mentioned your previous student did that. I did the same
Yes.
thing. So every single day I will come up here and I just look at it. Okay, what am I lacking? Phil says to do this. So I had to put in that 4 hours for me,
Hmm.
because if I slipped away, I was feeling more anxious.
This is very good feedback. And for those of you who are benefiting from this, thanks for chatting in. Brittany says, I also struggle with ADHD, anxiety, and sometimes struggle with reading the PMBOK in detail. Do you have any tips for reading specifically? Darrell, how did you do it? So you've talked about this room where you are and
Mhm.
stuff and post-it notes. Did you study outside of it? Now, I know you did this stuff at Starbucks. Were there any other
Mhm.
places that you studied regularly outside of your regular comfort zone?
Um, Actually, I took your advice. Go somewhere where it's really, really chaotic
Mm.
and study. That's exactly where I went. Um, I went to Starbucks, of course. My house has two. There's two kids, but my son's 2 years old,
Aw.
and it's it's a circus here. So I took out my earphones and you know, I wanted the noise
Wow.
because, like you said, studying in those intense moments
Mm-hmm.
will make you understand and not it will reduce the pressure.
Mm.
So
That is,
when my son was crying like crazy, yeah, I was my wife was going crazy too because she was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well," I was holding my phone, looking at the ITTOs or holding my notes, and my son was crying, taking care of him. My wife was like, "What the hell are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I'm trying to do this," you know.
wow.
So it came to the point where it was already impacting my personal life, and I had to overcome this.
Hmm. Hmm. That is, I really appreciate you being honest and, open and transparent and sharing this,
Mm-hmm.
because trust me, Darrell, this is helping tons of folks. We do have a lot of folks who are suffering, like just struggling to get through this. Um, some former military, some not, and not knowing what to do and how to proceed. So this is enormous
Mm-hmm.
help that you're rendering here. I will also say, for anyone watching after the fact, that the PMI do offer, for those who may be able to show with proof from a doctor, they do offer you additional time. I've had some students that needed, the additional time, and they said, look, Phil, there's no way I'm going to do this without having 6 hours at least. The PMI ends up giving them more time if, medical proof is there. So be aware of that. Something to be aware of. Any final um, questions or comments? Let me just add to what you said, Brittany. For me, sometimes I go through periods where I am not paying enough attention. That's when I do what I advise Darrell to do, is to go to a place outside of your comfort zone. Because like I could be here and then I could end up getting distracted by 1,001 emails, or distracted by what is happening in the environment. So sometimes it's good to mix it up, to go outside of where you're comfortable. But ultimately for me, I think flow charting and diagramming helps me very, very much. Also doing things like manually creating a document, creating a charter, whatever it is, the physical doing of it and marrying that back to the PMBOK guide, it helps me as well. And I actually find that more interesting. And that's why the next courses that I'm developing are going to be where students can actually do stuff physically, creating the WBS, creating the schedule, going through the steps. So it will marry the PMBOK guide to physical things. And that will help some people in this field. All right. Darrell, any final comments or remarks? Like if you're going to give your 1-minute elevator pitch to someone who was struggling, what would you
Mm-hmm.
tell them as far as passing the exam is concerned?
Do not give up in yourself. Um, just think of why you're doing it and understand the impediments and overcome those challenges. And that's my best advice to everybody out there.
Thank you, Darrell. This has been a massive, massive help. And I know you've been very transparent. Is it okay if I share this with a wider audience than just the folks here, like other folks here?
Sure, sure. And I wanted to do this because I know I've watched previous students come in and give their lessons learned, and I wanted to share my personal experience and not do the same routine where they give, okay, this is what I did. I wanted to be honest and
Mm,
provide that honesty because
mm,
I think you said it's not easy. The PMP
mm,
exam is not easy.
mm. Wow. Well, you just made my day, Darrell. Thank you very much. Everyone is very appreciative. And yeah, I'm going to go enjoy my day when I get out of here. I'll be remembering you on your behalf.
And now I'm gonna keep on. Honestly, I don't know what to do, but on YouTube I have you prescribed, and I don't know. I'm gonna keep on clicking your videos.
Well, Darrell, just keep following the channel because I don't know if you listened to my broadcast yesterday where I mentioned you, but I gave you a shout out last
Yes,
night. Okay.
yes. Thank you for that.
Oh, no worries. So I talk about how to think bigger as a PMP, go to the next level. So I am going to be coming out with many more videos for life after the PMP exam and how
Hmm.
to kind of execute on the PMBOK guide. So you can be rest assured, I will be giving you guys a lot of challenges and things to do and, just keep on helping people. So I haven't yet given the big old rah-rah on the Facebook group, but I will. And those of you on the call, I invited all of you to Facebook. I don't know if you guys got my message inviting you, but I haven't seen any of you join the Facebook group. So maybe I should do that again, but on the Facebook group, there's going to be constant updates, regular updates about project management, the PMI, what is going on with the PMP exam, because we've got massive, crazy changes coming up. But anyway, thank you, Darrell. I won't delay you any further. Yes, Rochelle, you were there. All right. Well, Darrell, thank you very much, and all the very best. And we're definitely going to be working a lot more now that you are a PMP guru. I can always call on you to help me motivate, encourage, inspire someone. So we're getting
Yes,
more
for
calls.
sure, Phil.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much again for everything. And I'll touch base with you. There's some things I wanted to talk to you about in regards to your coaching, your
Absolutely.
coaching route. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I want to invest in that.
I'll be more than happy, Darrell. Honestly, I'll be more than happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.